Good evening and welcome to Northbeat. I'm Lainey Lambrink. We begin in the South Slave region of the Northwest Territories. People in Hay River and Fort Smith are finally going home. They've been under evacuation order since mid-August, forced to flee because of wildfires. Now, 5 weeks later, residents have been told it's safe to return. Carla Ulrich has the story.
In Hay River and Catlow-Deche First Nation, people started arriving Saturday morning, some on planes, others in vehicles. From the air, they had a bird's eye view of the devastation. On the road, it was hit after hit. Burned and fallen power poles, fire-ravaged forest and landmarks, the catastrophic losses in enterprise, and the traumatic reminder of Evacuation Day, when people raced from the flames, all of it like a bad dream that people are finally waking up from.
Oh, really good to be home. It's been too long. It was hard to be away from home. It was too long. 6 weeks is a long time.
I'm glad everybody's back home now, and I'm glad the firefighters did their job and helped everybody out.
Stressful, frustrating, right? We all came back. We got to rush home now, make sure our homes are okay. We got to clean, our animals, the ones that were left here, hopefully they're okay.
It's great to be back.
Why is that?
Because it's my home for a while, a long time.
First thing you do when you get home?
I don't know. I got a long list, but I'll go from when I get to my home. Yeah.
Further south in Fort Smith, people were given the green light to return today. They are returning to a much different place. The landscape they once knew and cherished is gone, blackened by the fire. The outskirts of town are unrecognizable. It's painful to see, but the town has been saved. Hardworking firefighters made sure of that, and residents are happy to be home.
It wasn't a vacation. It was traumatizing. Every other day we didn't know where we were going to sleep. We were moved so many times, and in a month, if you don't know where you're sleeping, the third day, what the heck?
Refreshing, just some weight off my shoulder. Get to take my family home, a little one.
Emotional. I'm glad to be back. Yeah. I'm glad to see my friends, and I'm glad to see my pet dog.
That's pretty surreal. I'm just go get my dogs and go home and miss them so much. I don't even know. It's going to be a new experience, new times in life.
It will take time to process the devastation, both here in Fort Smith and in Hay River. Meanwhile, people in Enterprise are preparing for their return. It's expected they will be able to go back on Friday. Carla Ulrich, CBC News, Fort Smith.
The town of Hay River is asking for government support as residents come home. The mayor says they need more financial help than what's been offered so far. The CBC's Jenna Delavich has the latest.
People in Hay River are heading home and working on a return to a normal life after an evacuation order displaced residents from the town 5 weeks ago. Candace Jameson is the mayor of Hay River. She says the town is asking people to support local businesses, while personally lobbying for financial support from the territorial and federal governments.
5 weeks of disruption is well beyond the intent of the financial support programs announced to date. In the last couple of years, Hay River has been impacted by natural disasters of fire and flood like few other communities in Canada. This has been extremely challenging for the community. However, through these events, we have become increasingly stronger and more resilient.
Jameson says mitigation plans are underway to protect people and property from the impacts of climate change, after Hay River evacuated 3 times in 2 years.
Nowhere in a million years did I think it would be 5 weeks out when we were sending people away. Evacuating for the 3rd time in 12 months or 14 months, I guess, was beyond craziness to me. But, it's job one is public safety, and I can't stress that enough.
Jenna Delavich, CBC News, Yellowknife.
In the Yukon, Klondike is now officially on UNESCO's World Heritage List. It comes after years of work. Cheryl Kawaja has more.
This idea of having a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Dawson City has been floating around for several decades. The Trondheim government took over the effort to put this bid forward more than a decade ago. And finally, this week, with the World Heritage Committee meeting in Saudi Arabia, the Klondike has been named among 15 new sites around the globe to join the prestigious list. Klondike tells the story of Trondheim's Klondike experiences and responses to the rapid expansion of colonialism around the turn of the last century. That was the time of the gold rush. So it illustrates the continuity of an Indigenous people's culture before, during, and after the initial contact period with colonizers. One member of the committee putting the bid forward said it's about making sure Trondheim's history does not continue to be overshadowed by the gold rush. The site will include 8 different locations along the Yukon and Blackstone rivers. Collectively, it's 334 hectares, a smaller footprint than a previous bid. This will not impact treaty rights or mining. Hake Darren Taylor, chief of the Trondheim, is pleased with this new announcement. He says this heritage designation from UNESCO is one more way to tell the Trondheim story. It also honors the ancestors who stewarded the land in the past and looks to the future with the knowledge that these special places will be respected by generations to come, says Taylor. The community will hold a special celebration coming up later this week on Friday to mark this new UNESCO designation. Cheryl Kawaja, CBC News, Whitehorse.
People in Rankin Inlet were able to weigh in on a gold mine's expansion today. There was a community roundtable taking place on the proposed extension of Agnico Eagle's Meliadin mine. People from the Kavalik region had the chance to ask questions of the mining company and others. Rankin Inlet Deputy Mayor Martha Hicks was there. She says she personally doesn't want to see the mine expand, but she supports the jobs it would bring to her community.
It's been open for a few years now, and the people that work there, it brings them the bread and butter, so it's good for them, but for the elders and us, we are mostly concerned about keeping the caribou in our area because it's our livelihood.
Agnico Eagle's proposal would extend the mine's life by 11 years and also includes installing 11 wind turbines. The roundtable was part of a hearing before the Nunavut Impact Review Board. The hearing runs until Wednesday. Agu MLA Joanna Kwasa has resigned from the Executive Council. The announcement came on Saturday. Kwasa says it's because of family reasons. She previously served as the Minister for Environment and Energy and was responsible for the Nunavut Arctic College. Health Minister John Main will take over her energy and environment portfolios in the interim, while Family Services Minister Margaret Nakashuk will be responsible for the college. Kwasa will continue to serve as the MLA for Agu. Federal opposition leader Pierre Poilievre held a rally in Whitehorse this past weekend. It's the first time Poilievre traveled to the Yukon since becoming leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. As Rafsan Farouk Jugol reports, the campaign-style pit stop focused on taxes, guns, and the cost of living.
Pierre Poilievre met tradespeople, spending the afternoon talking to workers at a Whitehorse-based construction company. On this crisp, breezy day, the leader of the opposition wanted to talk taxes, the same message he's been spreading throughout his cross-Canada tour. While Poilievre's Norton visit was postponed last month as wildfires rage in Northwest Territories, he's still setting his sights on the carbon tax. He says it's too much of a burden, especially in rural areas where driving distances are longer and people still rely on gas and diesel that fuels their cars and trucks.
We have to axe the tax. I just spoke to a grocer from Dawson City, and he had to ship his food from Edmonton. there was a 94% fuel excise tax that applied to the shipping bill he got.
The Friday night rally brought out hundreds of people, attracted by what some may say is a no-nonsense approach to making life more affordable at a time of high inflation and a housing crunch.
Well, it certainly seemed good to me. I mean, it was very. He's a good, I guess the word's orator. He's a very good speaker. He seems to know how to work the crowd. He's, I believe strongly in what he says.
If we increase home building by 15% per year at a compounded rate, we'll be doubling the housing construction within 5 years. And slowly but surely, we can build our way out of this housing mess. And we'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings to convert those into new housing. We'll use the proceeds of the sale to reduce our deficits.
The simple solutions to complex problems struck a chord with many in this crowd. Bronwyn Doyle moved back to Yukon after 8 years in Alberta.
The atmosphere, the feeling, it was jovial, it was light, everyone was in good spirits, and I think, as I said to my friend, it's a feeling of, I guess, not to sound flaky, but I guess I will, it was a feeling of hope.
While Poilievre repeated promises to cap government spending and build more housing, he also played specifically to a northern audience, hunters and trappers, by criticizing the Trudeau government for supporting a more restrictive gun policy. It was an evening to rally the party faithful and test the waters for conservative support in this part of the country. Rafsan Farouk Jugal, CBC News, Whitehorse.
Poilievre made it back to Ottawa today for the start of the House of Commons fall sitting. Over the summer, polls suggested there was a shift in political momentum for the Conservatives, and as the CBC's Rafi Boudjikanian tells us, that has the Liberals trying to win over voters with a focus on housing and affordability.
With MPs returning to the House of Commons, the hints Canadians could expect the government to get into fewer shouting matches were there.
You're looking for us to work together and not to play partisan games.
Oral questions, question orale.
But clearly not extended to all in the opposition.
After the summer that these Liberals have had, even the Prime Minister must admit that he's not worth the cost. 8 years after he promised to make housing more affordable, he doubled the cost, doubled the rent, doubled mortgage payments. Mr. Speaker, it took him 8 years to cause this housing hell. How long will it take to fix it?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, we said we'd work with municipalities to get housing built faster, and that's exactly what we're doing right across the country, including, for example, with the City of London, where we've got a deal done that fast-tracks the creation of over 2,000 additional housing units over the next 3 years.
That's hardly the only math on the Prime Minister's mind. Over the summer, the Conservatives have climbed in opinion polls, leaving them within reach of forming government. Much of that through rhetoric on housing costs spiraling out of control, a reality Trudeau acknowledged in an exclusive interview with CBC's Front Burner.
I always say we should have, could have moved faster. Absolutely, there's always more to do. So the question that people will ask politically over the coming years is, which government or which potential government has the solutions to this really big problem? And that's what people are going to look at, not what is the perfect way to do it, who has the best plan, who has the track record, who has the ability to bend this curve.
Trudeau's shown his hand for some of that plan already, with the recent announcement about waiving the GST for construction of new rental units. On Monday, his government also vowed to introduce a National Farmer Care Act and have a vote by the end of this sitting, a long-time ask of the NDP, vowing now to force the Liberals to pass the legislation.
We have heard the Liberals in the past say they can't meet deadlines. I mean, they're always looking for excuses to get out of things.
Behind that talk, the confidence and supply agreement with the NDP helping the Liberals hold on to power is still in place until the end of 2025. Meaning time could be Trudeau's biggest ally this fall as he tries to turn his electoral fortunes around. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
The federal government says it's reached an agreement with Canada's major grocery chains to rein in food prices. It comes after top grocery executives met with federal cabinet ministers this morning in Ottawa. The CBC's Ashley Burke has more.
How do you feel about being summoned here, sir?
It's an image the government wants Canadians to see.
We're hoping for a productive meeting. Thank you.
The CEOs of Canada's grocery giants called into the industry minister's office to address the rising cost of food.
Our government is going to do everything in our power to make sure prices stabilize.
After sinking in the polls this summer, the government's now targeting the country's 5 largest grocery chains, demanding they come up with a plan by Thanksgiving. The Prime Minister spoke to Front Burner's Jamie Poisson about it.
What kind of plan do you want from them? Do you want them to tell you that they're going to bring grocery prices down, or do you want them to just stabilize prices?
I think stabilizing is the first good thing, but seeing prices come down would be even better.
The meeting ran long, some CEOs dodging the cameras on the way out or saying little.
Everyone in there wants the same thing, which is for Canadians to have better food pricing and for that to cool down, and it will.
The conversation has to include all the manufacturers, producers, farmers, and everybody. It's not just about the retailers.
The industry minister says it's the first time all 5 CEOs have been in the room together, and he's walking out with a commitment.
Bottom line is that they agreed to work with the government to stabilize food prices in Canada.
The opposition says the government should have acted long ago, not once it's in political trouble.
Their response to all this is to hold a big photo op today. The Prime Minister claims food will be affordable by Thanksgiving.
I'm concerned that they're just talking again. And it's been 20 months since the cost of food inflation, has outpaced general inflation.
Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland also addressed the CEOs and reiterated the government's ultimatum that they have 3 weeks to come up with a plan or else could face punitive taxes. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
May I guess your taste? Not wrong to have ambition. Don't let fear hold you back.
You don't let them win.
You're gonna see things you'll never forget.
They look so beautiful together.
You are our tomorrow.
Norman Wells is saving energy and money in its arena with new LED lighting.
We want to give the people in the community that use the arena the best experience that they can have. The application process was flawless, and I would encourage other communities to look into this fund with Arctic Energy Alliance.
The Arctic Energy Alliance has free advice and rebates to help you switch and save. Talk to us today.
We're ready to go when you need to know.
Good morning. I'm Heather Hiscox. We begin with breaking news.
To see from behind us here how big the fire is. You're giving me the hard questions.
Yes,
I found Canadians. Start your day with us on CBC Morning Live.
Dig deeper and get more from your news.
What does this land do for us?
Here on CBC News Explore.
So take a look.
Because that's what we do. We explore the news.
Just want to be a dad.
Get it 24 hours a day. CBC News Explore. Stream free.
Researchers carried out a survey of aquatic mammals in the high Arctic last month. Scientists from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans did the survey, taking photos from the air with the help of community members. The survey included Resolute Bay, Grise Fjord, Arctic Bay, Pond Inlet, and Pongnortu. Alicia Tunu has more.
The Department of Fisheries and Oceans Canada says it is important to have updated data on marine mammals, including bowheads, narwhal, beluga, and killer whales within the high Arctic. Brianna Sherbo, a science aquatic technician for Fisheries and Oceans Canada, says the goal was to update the population estimates of aquatic mammal populations in the region.
It is really important to know the numbers of whales that are in these areas, as there are quotas, and so in order to have proper quotas, we need proper data on the numbers of marine mammals that are currently abundant in the high Arctic populations.
Simeoniki Nainak is the chairperson with the Hunters and Trappers organization in Pongnortu. He says he is doubtful the results of the survey will be accurate. He added,
"We know the population is up and down because some years we got more belugas, some years we see less than the other years because the belugas are two different species in the Cumberland Sound. We get visitors in some summers, smaller than the belugas we have.
GFO captured between 12,000 and 24,000 photographs, which will be analyzed over the next few months. This is the first full aerial aquatic mammal study of this kind done in the region since 2013. Alicia Tuno, CBC News, Iqaluit.
Today is the first day Nunavummiut can declare themselves candidates in the upcoming municipal elections. Voters go to the polls on October 23rd. They'll be casting ballots for councillors, mayors, district education authorities, and alcohol education committees. People have until 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday to declare themselves a candidate. In Nunavut's capital, Mayor Solomon Ava has decided he will run again, not for mayor, but as councillor. Ava has been serving as mayor since last October when Kenny Bell abruptly resigned. Ava says the biggest challenge facing the next city council is water issues. He says he's well placed to make decisions about a long-term water project as a local harvester who knows the area well.
I know the landmarks and I know how it's shaped and where the lakes are, how the river is flowing. That knowledge can make better decisions how we can expand our water system.
Kimberly Smith, Samuel Tilley, Swanee Amarapala, and Kyle Shepard have said they also plan to seek council seats, while Romine Stevenson is undecided. Paul Kwasa will not seek re-election. The MLA for Kingite says he's hoping everyone in the community will have a steady supply of water before the end of the year. David Johannessy and his Nunavut government colleagues recently held their cabinet retreat in the community. He says they heard from residents about the challenges of a broken water system. An electrical problem caused the water pump house to break down months ago. Residents still have to conserve water, and only 60% of water deliveries are made. Johannessy says people should keep calling the Hamlet office if they're having issues.
It's a time to be kind with one another. You know, helping each other. If your neighbor has run out of water, then maybe they need a bucket of water or a jug. So that's how we work.
Johannessy says there are plans to repair the water system. It should be up and running by the new year or before that. Johannessy says the hamlet is also having a hard time finding water truck drivers. Our next story tonight is on a Yukon-based horse club that doesn't just focus on horses. Spirit Riders 4-H Horse Club also teaches young children about public speaking, leadership, volunteering. The club was at the fireweed market last week in Whitehorse. Take a look.
So here we're coming up on Chico. Chico is half Clydesdale, half quarter horse. Super friendly. Obviously, he loves food because he is very big and he's a little goofy sometimes and likes to eat things. So just be careful. My name's Angelique York. 4-H is a horse club. The club itself does a lot of different things. I find it's a huge benefit for the kids in the way that they learn responsibility. They have to take care of an animal, so they have to feed it, they have to care for it. They have to learn how to bond with an animal because that's not easy to train a horse, and it's not easy to do certain things with such a big animal. So they have to learn patience and kindness, and it just kind of makes them a better citizen.
My name is Lucas. My name is Anna. I like how it's like you can bond with your horse, but at the same time, he's like your partner. So it's all just about teamwork, and they teach you new things like almost every new meeting. So It makes you a better person and a better rider, physically and mentally.
I always have the question of why I have a donkey. And to be honest, I don't even know how to answer that question. I just ended up with a donkey, and he's just part of the family now. I kind of treat Clipper exactly like a horse, but he's not trainable like a horse. I don't want to use the word stubborn. He likes to think about things a lot before he does them, where sometimes can be a little frustrating. But he is just a big pet and a big dog for us.
And that's Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/north. Thanks for watching. I'm Lainey Lambrink. Have a good night.
Consider this my resignation.
3 of Toronto's finest, dead on your watch.
There are secrets. I shall soon uncover them.
You're a very clever man.
No, you can't.
No. You'll be needing your rest.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, do they not?
Where are we?
The detective and his wife have gone missing. I don't know where they are.
Help! Help!
Hey, want to eat lunch with us? Guys, I'm not that hungry.
What Canadian creature is often a villain in fairy tales? Likes to talk to its family a lot. Hunts in large packs for big animals. And is a close cousin to dogs. If you guessed the wolf, you're right. These mighty hunters are quite shy of people and fill an important role in nature. To learn more about wolves, visit our website at hww.ca.
We overspend and overcook, which is disastrous for our wallets and the planet.
That's a lot of waste.
May I guess your taste? Not wrong to have ambition. Don't let fear hold you back.
Your job is to discover the mystery dessert.
What is it? What is it?
Raspberries.
Dark chocolate.
I think I got it.
Woo! You don't let them win.
You're gonna see things you never forget.
They look so beautiful together.
You are our tomorrow.
Dig deeper and get more from your news.
What does this land do for us?
Here on CBC News Explore.
So take a look.
Because that's what we do. We explore the news.
Just want to be a dad.
Get it 24 hours a day. CBC News Explore. Stream free.